In this tutorial, we're going to show you how you can take your files after you've developed your animations and then export them into a file format that can be played onto a media player. So right now we have our little animation set up in Adobe After Effects. I might transfer this to another artist if they were going to continue work on it in After Effects, but if a client or someone else needed to just see this and they didn't have After Effects, we would have to export it into a format that they could view. This is where Adobe After Effects uses a tool called the render queue so that it can export it into a video file format that can be viewed on various computers. So I would go to Composition and I would scroll down and I would select Add to Render Queue. And you'll notice that my timeline disappears and instead the render queue shows up. It's going to tell me what's in the render queue, but it also gives me these settings that I can use. So for example, we're going to click on the render settings, and most of this you really don't have to use, or you would change based off of what the final project has to be. Of course, you're going to want to set it to best, and that may take it a little longer for it to set up to or export. The output mode is what you really got to kind of focus on. Again, the output mode is going to change depending on what the client needs. By default, it'll set up to a QuickTime video, but as you can see, you can check off a lot of different options. Most of this is going to depend on what the person on the other end who's going to receive this file needs it to be. You also have options to resizing it. You have options to cropping it. You also have options if you have audio added to it as well. The video codec is what you really have to look for. Let's cancel out this again so I can show you. Under the video output, if you click Format Options, you'll get video and audio formatting features. We want to save this file into a format that's kind of standard that most people can read, whether they have a Mac or PC. And that's the H.264. So we'll select that, and we'll click OK. So it'll export it into a file format, the H.264, which is very common in universal format, kind of like the JPEG, that will play on the most majority of readers. So QuickTime, Format Options. The most common one is H.264, but can change depending on who on the other end needs it in a certain format. They would tell you what it is, and you would set it up to that format. And we'll click OK. Finally, we have the output to. You'll see that this one is not yet specified, meaning that I have to determine where I'm going to save this and what I'm going to name this movie file. So we'll save this as what it says on my screen. I always uncheck the hide extension so that they can see what type of movie file it's going to be. We'll save it into the tutorials folder. And now it's going to render once I click render, meaning that once you've set this up, it's not rendering yet. You've just told it where it's going to save at. It won't start rendering until you click the render button. And there it is. And there's our movie. And now it's playing our movie. And that's how you use the render queue in Adobe After Effects.